俺がベジータだ。
What's up guys, this is Dave from OhTalkWho, and today I want to talk about learning Japanese. I'm currently in the process of learning Japanese, nowhere near fluent, let me make that clear right now, but I'm kind of following the AJATT method. I joke around and call it the some Japanese some of the time method because I am a busy ass adult, but I can talk about that in another video. But what I did want to talk about today is the beginning stages, which is this book right here called Remembering the Kanji by James Hasek. This book is a really cool book, and if you found this video, chances are you already know what it is. But today I wanted to discuss how I have used it so far to learn, where am I at? 1,725 kanji. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what I have been doing, and either A, get your opinion if you know what you're doing better than I do, or B, to help you out. Because I know that when I first started this book, I was kind of lost in the sauce and didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, didn't know exactly how to do it aside from what it said in the book. But today we're going to talk about AJATT, and well, not really AJATT, but remembering the kanji in the modern age, and go over how you can do this with a software program called Anki. So chances are you've heard all of these words before if you're at this stage of learning Japanese, but I just wanted to kind of clear it up so that you guys can know where to start and know how to do it. And then so you can see my method, and maybe it'll help me out. But yeah, cool. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I do every day is I just learn my new words. Basically, I have like just a basic notebook, right? And I separate it into kind of two sides. I have like my practice side for my actual reps, and then I have my new word side. So basically what I do is I figure out where I stopped before, the day before, and I find that spot in the book, and I continue on from there, learning every new word that I can, right? So as you can see right here, I'm on 726 right now. So what I will do is I will go to number 726 in the book. Self-effacing. Another great James Hasek chosen word. So just write it down. And then I look at how he breaks it up into his little sections here, and then I'll write it out from there. And I try to pay attention to stroke order, but I'm not like a stroke order Nazi by any means. It's important, but right now I just try to do well. I don't try to do perfect. So write it out right next to the spot where I wrote down. Cool. There you go. And then I'll do that with all of the words that I'm learning today. Normally I do about 20 to 25 a day. When I first started doing this, I was doing 15 a day. Then I moved on to 20 a day, and now that I'm getting near the end, I've kind of bumped it up to 25 because personally, RTK is not my favorite part of all of this. I'm ready to get going and doing some other stuff. Cool. So let's do the next word. Bargain. So I just write it down in English, and I try not to misspell it like I just did. And then I write down the Japanese equivalent. And while I'm doing this, I'm not really too worried about memorizing the radicals at this point. I'm just trying to be aware of them, right? And if they stick, they stick, and if they don't, they don't. I will do that part later on. Cool. So I'm going to finish this, and then we'll get on to the next part. One other thing I wanted to mention, usually while I'm writing down this part, I'm also trying to get in a little bit of immersion. I will either have an episode of anime playing on my laptop, which is right over there that you guys can't see, or if nothing else, I'll at least have audio from an anime or drama. Right now, listen to Boku no Hero if you can't tell. Cool. So it's a good time to get some little extra immersing in that doesn't distract you too much. Couldn't skip that. Cool. So I finished writing down all of the kanji that I'm going to learn for the day. Stopped on 740, the kanji for south. I had already written down 10 before. As you'll notice though, I have all my kanji numbered out right here, right? But if you look up top up here too, you notice I have a bunch of like little stars and then the name of a particle. Basically, this is my method of not messing up my numbering as I'm going along, but having an opportunity to write down a particle and kind of drawing it out. So what I will say about particles though is a lot of the times I don't use what Hasek suggests because I mean, half the time I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, I had to look up with syllages, and I feel like if you need to, which is right there, right? If you need to look up the meaning of a particle, it's not going to be good for your stories. So, as long as it's not a particle that is also a kanji, you, in my opinion, are free to change that up to be whatever you want. So, like bonsai. Bonsai right here was pretty easy for me to remember, sure. And cornstalk, that was decent too. But cabbage, for some reason, I was just like, I'm not gonna remember cabbage. So instead, I looked at the kanji and I said, okay, well, what does it remind me of? Okay, so the particles here are, for this particle, so this is a particle made of particles, right? Is flower, mouth, and grow up. And I was like, okay, well, what's a flower that I wanna put in my mouth when it grows up? And I decided pineapple. It's just a little bit easier for me to remember. And there's a lot of like great ones for that. Like you can find like this one too, scarecrow. This is the bad part, is I had already used the one, used scarecrow for another particle, but this kanji doesn't mean scarecrow. It's not even a kanji itself, right? So I decided to come up with my own. Once again, it's like flower, mouth, and then I'm husband. And so I was like, okay, well, who's a husband who never shuts his mouth? And I decided Bob's from Bob's Burgers was a great answer for that one. And the list goes on. I mean, like a lot of them have stayed what they were, but a lot of them have moved over. Like this was Earthworm, and I wanted it to be a little bit more memorable, so I went with Earthworm Jim. And like Cocoon, I just straight up went with Metapod because I knew I would remember that and be able to write more stories with it. And what else? There's some good ones in here. You know, Jawbone, I just went with Skull because it seemed to make more sense to me. Like over here, you have 10 and a sideways eye. I went with Darth Vader, which is one that was recommended on Kanji Kohi. And then this one right here, I don't even remember what Hasek said this kanji meant, but now it means manga, so I just go with manga. And there's more and more. You know, I chose like Luffy as my person radical, and I chose Spider-Man as my thread radical, and it's more and more of that. So, anyways, now that I've gone on a little bit of a tangent, so what I will do after I finish all my new words is now it's time to start doing my Anki reps. So I will flip to, not necessarily a clean page, but I will flip to where I last stopped, and this time it just so happened to be the end of a page, because I usually try to separate it in blocks, and this is usually how much I write in a day. So I'm moving on to this clean page here, and then what I'll do is I will log into Anki, and I will start doing my reps for the day on there. And today it looks like I have about 144 reps. Usually this whole entire process, when I'm not recording a video, will take me around, I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half. The reps take, writing stuff down takes, I give myself a half hour because I usually watch an episode of anime with it, so like what's that really, 20 minutes? But I'm usually going slow. And then my actual reps will take somewhere around, I don't know, let's say 45 minutes or so. And then my new words will take another, to make new stories for them, maybe another half hour to 45 minutes. So all in all, usually this takes me, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes every day to do all of them. But you only have to do that for like 3 months, and then you're done. And then you get to like all the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and pull up Anki here. I'm gonna start, I'm gonna pull this up on my screen. Anyways, all right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna have your words on the front, and then your picture on the back, right? And what you're gonna do is you're gonna write the kanji. So I started writing this one already, and then I realized, oh man, I messed up. So we're going for approve, and I believe what that is if My mom was going to approve of one or another husband. She's gonna want to know how much money they make, right? Just go here, click show answer, cool, got it right. As you can see down here at the bottom, I have, when picking out of 2 husbands, my parents would only approve of the one with more money. I have a wife, so obviously this story doesn't apply to me too much, but it was still enough for me to remember it, and that's the only real point that you really want to make, is just something that you're gonna remember, right? And so yeah, so just to give you a quick overview of my cards, so we have the keyword, which is usually the first word, and then you have other words where it could mean, so praise, title, inscription, whatever, right? So then you have a kanji in 4 different fonts, recommended to me and the rest of the world by Matt vs. Japan. And then you have the stroke order, which is also displayed right there, so that's kind of, it doesn't need to happen. Then you have words that kanji starts with or is in. You have your kanji level, so it's N3, it's Joyu grade 5, the frequency is 868. You have your mnemonic. If you click this, I think it brings you to Kanji Kohi, which I don't really use that much. These stories right here at the bottom are supplied by Kanji Kohi, and the one up top here is the one I wrote. You'll notice that, like, what I do here is I will write out what these are, like, so husbands, 2 husbands, approve is what the word actually means, and money. That's just something I do to help me. It's not something you have to do, but it kind of like emphasizes, if I have to go back and look at my story, what the particles of each, what are all the particles inside the kanji. And then down here at the bottom is your reference information. So this, if you click on this one right here, which is the one I use the most, it'll take me right to Jisho, so I can look at this word in the dictionary. So this one's going to be good for me. It's going to bring me on to my next one. So take. So you know, you just got to remember your story. So if I take something again, they're going to cut off my ear. So right ear. And again. Right, so show answer, cool, that's good, I won't see it again for another month. And then it's gonna go into handle, and say I don't know this one, I'll be like, oh man, what is it? So I hit show answer, I'm like, oh, okay, it's fingers and reach. So I can scroll down here, and yep, so this is like not that old of a kanji for me, so I reached out with my fingers and grabbed the handle on my motorcycle and revved the engine. So that's gonna be my story here. So if I didn't remember the story at all, and if I didn't remember how to write the kanji at all, then I would hit again, and I would see it again in 10 minutes. If I could only remember, say I could only remember the finger particle, which is this first one right here, then I would hit hard, and if I remembered it completely, then I'd hit good. And like I said, I don't really use the easy button very often. You can. I really only use it for things that are like so immediate, like the kanji for like 1, 2, 3, 4, or woman, or you know, something like that. If they ask me how to write soil, because you write it so often, I'll hit easy. But I didn't do that in the beginning. I only started doing that once they really did become like, incessantly easy. So I actually didn't know this one, so I'm still gonna write it out, just fingers, and then I'm gonna write out reach for, right? And I wrote that wrong. Don't judge me too hard. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit good. So, and then measuring box, same deal. Just gonna come down here, write out measuring box, show answer, cool, got it right, good. Uprising, and then so on and so forth. Cool, all right, I'm gonna finish my reps for the day, and then I will get to the point where I have my new words, and we'll go over that. Awesome. Alright guys, I finished doing my Anki reps for the day. As you can see, I got this whole little block here that didn't exist before on this page, right? So I had like 140 reps or so. So now it's time to do my new words. So, just speaking about Anki reps real quick, you're gonna notice that, like, 1, my handwriting's not perfect, whatever to that. But 2, there's a lot of scribbles on here, and that's because as I was going, as it should happen, I made mistakes, right? And thankfully I didn't make a lot, although this time around my reps definitely showed me some kanji I haven't seen in a while. But things went fairly well, all things considered, so there's some easy ones up here, which is nice, like tree and stuff. but as you get down, you can see some of the newer words that I had to learn. But now we're gonna do our 25 new words for the day. Like I said, I used to do 15 when I first started because I didn't know how much time that would take me, and I was still kind of learning. And then I bumped it up to 20 for the majority of the time, like basically from like maybe 200 or 300 words, 200 or 300 kanji rather on. And I've been doing 20 up until recently, when I hit around 1600 or so, or just before 1600, maybe 1500, where I bumped it up to 25 because I was like, wow, I'm getting pretty close to the end. The end is in sight. I want to learn this shit. And I want to move on and start doing all the cool stuff. Kanji is not my favorite part, like I said, but it's definitely, in my mind, a necessary evil. Some people love it, but that's where you're at. All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your book, you're gonna get your page, and you're gonna go ahead and start off with whatever word is your next word. So for me, my first word of the day was number 716, boom, right there, which is wrench. And then we're gonna go ahead and jump over to Anki and start doing this. So, hold up one sec. All right. Cool, Anki. So basically what you're gonna do is, you're gonna have your new words being displayed, as you can see down here. It says I have 25 new, 1 to redo, and I'll go through all of those. So the first new word is, in here it says wrench, but on my flashcard it says twist. I didn't write this, this is how the flashcard deck came, and now I'm gonna kind of like justify whether or not I think that it should be, twirl, twist, wrench, based on what the actual word means based on the dictionary, and also I'm gonna kind of go with whatever I find easier to memorize, right? Because, these words aren't perfect, neither in Heisig nor on Anki, and you just want to be able to, do what works best for you. That's the most important thing, is like whatever's going to help you to memorize it, that's going to get you close to the meaning, that's what you should do, because, these words don't have an exact English definition anyways. It's a language, it's the new language. So I go ahead, and what I usually do is I just hit show answer, and it brings up the kanji for me, so I can tell right away that it's going to be fingers, now, and heart. Also, now and heart means wish, So I usually just scroll right down to the bottom to the mnemonic section to see what other people have written as their stories, and that kind of sometimes influences my stories and sometimes it doesn't. So then I'll go ahead and hit edit. That'll bring up the current edit window. I scroll right down to the bottom and I go down to whatever I think I want to be here. So I'm gonna go with wrench just because I think that might be easier for me. So I'm gonna also edit this right here. Although you can see right here that heneru means to twist, to wrench, to turn. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit wrench because I feel like I can write a pretty easy story with wrench. And then I'll scroll down to the bottom, back to the story section. What I usually do is just create some space for my own story. And I'm just gonna say, I don't know, I wish I had a wrench so that I could get this bolt off. Something like that. Or even better, because I can't get this bolt off with my fingers. So I wish I had a wrench because I couldn't get this bolt off with my fingers. Cool. Hit close. It's gonna bring it right back up. You'll see that wrench is now the key word. So I'm just gonna go there and I'm like, okay, can I write it now that I just created that story? It's like, okay, so I know it's finger. Can't get this bolt off with my fingers. I wish I had a wrench. So wish is the feeling I now have in my heart. At least that's my story for it. Some people use time, some people use clock, some people use watch. It's whatever you want to use. But I know that now, it's Ima, so cool. Show answer, I'm good. So I'll see it again in 10 minutes. Harp, so I go here, I say, oh, okay, yeah. Heisig also says 1717 is gonna be harp, and so does this card. So I'm gonna go ahead and show answer. Okay, it says 2 kings or 2 balls, and now or time. Go down to the other people's stories. They said 2 kings were fighting over a beautiful koto, a harp. So they had a clock built into it that would measure how long each one played it. Cool. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna kind of use that story, but I'm gonna cut my own. So I'm gonna say, 2 kings were fighting over a harp. I'm gonna put harp because I don't really know what koto means, right? And then I'll say, they both wanted it now. Kings, I don't like to share, right? So you're just gonna come up with a story, whatever you think is memorable in your mind, right? It's just however your mind works. I usually have stupid stories like this, or sometimes they're dirty, or sometimes they're grotesque, or whatever. It's just gonna be whatever helps you memorize it. You know, if you're embarrassed, don't share your stories. So go ahead and close that. It's gonna bring up harp, and I'm gonna write, okay, 2 kings, so king, and then king. We're fighting over a harp, but they both wanted it now, right? Show answer. See it again in 10 minutes. Once again, you know, next words would be shade, 1718. Yep, Hazig agrees. So here, Hazig, whatever it is. So it's pinnacle, now, and what is that, wall? Cool. And then I'm just gonna keep on going down and making new stories. All right, I'm gonna finish up my 25 words for the day, and then we'll close this up. Cool. Alright guys, that's it for the day. I've done all my Anki reps for the most part, at least all my Remember the Kanji ones. I got some other stuff I'm messing around with too. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this book for a minute. So when I first went to Japan, I'd only been studying Japanese for like 3 months or so. That was at the beginning of the year. I went there knowing how to speak a little bit, just like a little bit. And when I got there, I realized I couldn't read anything, and that was a huge detriment. So I started doing kanji as soon as I got back. I started off with like wanikani. I got up to like level 3 or 4, whatever they let you do for free, and I saw the faults in it. You know, it was helpful, but it was also going to be really, really expensive, and that's something that I wanted to like factor in, right? And I felt like it was a very slow learning process. I know if I kept up with wanikani, it'd probably take me at least a year to get as far as I have already in Remembering the Kanji. Whereas Remember the Kanji, however, I started about 2.5 months ago. The book cost me like $25, and I'm pretty sure you can get a PDF version of it online if you really wanted to. So far, I mean, I really like this method. I've been trying to read manga and stuff. I have like a little bit of vocabulary from before I started studying kanji. This is where most of my focus has been, but before that I knew like maybe 400 words, 500 words or so, and I knew hiragana, katakana. And yeah, so I had just a little bit of a base, so now I'm, you know, trying to read manga and stuff like that, and I'm seeing the kanji I'm learning in there, and it's amazing how much I'm picking up more because I know kanji. Even though I don't know how to like sound out kanji yet, like the sounds of them, I still see 100% where the benefit of this is. Even like when I'm watching anime with Japanese subtitles, being able to see the kanji in the subtitles, it's bringing a lot more into my mind, like getting the context of what the anime is about, because I'm like trying to watch things that I haven't seen with English subtitles, or I haven't seen dubbed, you know? And so far, I only have good things to say about this book. 25 bucks, and in 3 months, at a decent pace, you know, you can literally learn all of the kanji, all the ones you need to know. And you know, you could even go, I know that NukeMarine suggests learning, you know, doing 500 or so, and then the 500 most popular, and then going to learn some vocabulary, and then doing a couple of other things, and then going back to kanji and stuff. I would also recommend that method, you know. He has a great program set up. Like I joke around and call it AJATT for busy people. I'm kind of doing like an in-between process of doing like what NukeMarine does and like what Matt suggests for Matt versus Japan. And so far this has been, you know, really, really helpful for me. So I definitely suggest Remember the Kanji. It's, you know, no diss on wanikani. I know that a lot of people like that, and that's awesome. This has got a lot more bang for its buck, and you kind of get kanji out of the way. Not that kanji is something that should be considered in the way, but for me, it's just like one of those necessary evils, necessary steps that I just want to get done, so I can get to like the meat and potatoes of really learning Japanese. So I should be done with this in another 20 days, like I said, and you know, hopefully from then I'll jump right into sentence mining. I'm probably going to do sentence minus Genki instead of take him, because I own Genki and I spent the money, so I might as well utilize what I have. And it seems like from going on Reddit and talking to people. Like there's really, you know, yeah, they're organized different, but they offer the same value. And then I'm also planning on going through NukeMarine's core 2K list. Whether or not I finish the whole thing, we'll see, but it's just one of those like easy vocabulary builders. I know it's not what Mapverse Japan suggests and what AJATT suggests, you know, learning vocabulary, but on NukeMarine side of the house, you know, Japanese for busy people kind of thing. I mean, I have a full-time job and stuff, so I'm gonna do that. I'll make a video explaining that. But yeah, so anyways, remember the kanji. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. And otherwise, I'll see you guys later. Bye.